you hear on the news of like the American dream's dead. Do you believe that at all?
I personally don't.
Yeah.
I think it's all relative on how you feel about things. You ask a person who doesn't have food to eat, and they give them a loaf of bread. Is the most tastiest thing they have ever eaten in their lives. Right? It's all relative. Where I come from some humble beginnings, I've been fortunate to be here. I'm fortunate to be in a position that I have. I feel that this country has given me more than I ever thought I would ever achieve in my life.
Yeah.
How can that not be a grateful statement for me? And I'm grateful for this country. My family is here. My child is born here. I'm super, super grateful.
So today on the New How podcast, we have Gaurav Gambhir. Gaurav is an owner and founder at TCS Group and manages 1,000 plus real estate agents, just a few. He's passionate about building a team of knowledgeable agents while facilitating a vibrant working atmosphere. Gaurav began his career in Philadelphia real estate agent in 2002 after graduating from Drexel University, where he studied computer science, business, and mathematics. The analytical skills he gained through his studies provided a solid foundation for his first job in real estate as a network administrator. 20 plus years after he learned his love for the real estate business, he now owns companies specializing in single-family property management, multifamily property management, investment acquisitions, property renovations, property and auto insurance, and title insurance. As an active real estate agent and entrepreneur himself, Gaurav believes that staying engaged in the market on top of the industry trends is essential to growing and maintaining a business. Gaurav has an expansive knowledge and perspective on real estate that covers many specialties, including property management, rentals, sales, investments in the luxury and mainstream markets. Gaurav's been a proud resident of Philadelphia since 1997 and sees Philadelphia as a city that has allowed him to build his American dream. He currently lives in the Art Museum neighborhood with his family and enjoys traveling, trying new restaurants, and experiencing many cultural and historical offerings of the city. Welcome, Gaurav, to the show.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Gaurav.
Who wrote that? He's a good writer.
There's no way I could say this many nice things about you.
Nah. You have to pay somebody to write good things about you.
This is good. This is amazing. So Gaurav, let's take it back a little bit. So I feel like some people on the show that listen to the show might recognize the condo shop, KW, right? You've been in real estate now since 2002 in this city, and you've grown an expansive team of over 1,000 agents. But I want to peel back. I want to go backwards before we get to the successfulness that you are today. Talk about going to school for computer science. Like what led you there, and talk about that. I want to understand why you went to college for computer science.
I'm an immigrant to this country. I came here in 1997. My dad was the richest man in Mumbai. We were worth about $1 billion, and we decided we're going to leave everything. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, wait a second, this is good. This is set up to a movie plot. I think I've watched.
No, I come from very humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. We decided to make a career for ourselves. My parents moved here in 1997. I came here, wanted to be the best computer programmer the world has ever seen. That was my goal. To go to computer science school, went to Drexel, and I graduated in 2002, right after 9/11. I decided to marry my high school sweetheart at the age of 22. And right after I graduated, 9/11 had its consequences, and I got laid off before I started. So now I'm married at the age of 22, not having a very strong immigration status, no money, living with my parents. The goal of being the best programmer goes down the drain. And now with no money and with tons of debt. So I have to figure out something.
It's something people can relate to today. This is 2002. Here we are, 2024. I hear the same thing.
That is so true. Yeah. I think many people are going through some hardships, and I think I went through mine at that time. It was not my plan to get to that low level in my life. It's a funny time that me and my wife were standing in one of the mountains of Hawaii, paid by my parents for my honeymoon, and I got a call from my boss to say, bad news that. We don't have space for you when you come back. I seriously asked my wife, should we jump?
Oh, jeez.
I swear to God, I did ask her. I said, this is, I have no immigration status, living with my parents, got married at 22, lost my job. How am I going to support anything? And it was such a low time of my life, being so young, not being mature, and didn't have the strength to say, listen, just end it, easy way out. And thank God my wife said, "Are you silly? We'll figure it out."
Yeah.
Thank God. So that's how I started with my journey of figuring out what to do outside of computer science.
Yep. Well, great. And well, glad you didn't jump. That's for
Thank
sure.
God.
Thank God you did not jump. So you started, but computer science, and you kind of positioned into real estate. So now walk me through. You get back from Hawaii, right?
Sure.
You got to figure out, like, you don't have a job now. You're unsure what next steps are. Talk about, like, why is that? What attracted you to real estate, or what got you there from that hard time?
Luck plays a big role in your life, and
rather be lucky than good every time.
I think you get more lucky the more good you are.
Yeah.
Or more better you get. So I started doing some odd things to figure out to make some money. I had some time to figure out my legal status. That's what allowed when you graduate. So my first I've been very entrepreneurial, lucky that I have a family where entrepreneurs have thrived for multiple generations. My dad has been an entrepreneur all his life. So that was in my blood to see how can I do something in the future, but it wasn't supposed to be this early in my starting career. I remember when I was in college, my dad had an Indian restaurant. So I was supplying lunch boxes without having apps. And for in the lunchtime to my friends.
You were like the Grubhub?
I was a Grubhub.
You were an early Grubhub? Like, what
Very
year was
early.
this?
This is 2000. This is 1998, 99.
So you have the patent, the Grubhub.
I don't have a patent for Grubhub. But in my senior design project, I did create an online website to order before e-commerce was in place. Yeah. That was my senior design project.
And people are like, "This guy's nuts. So he's going to order food on the internet?"
That's correct. We had a whole game plan. It was a pretty good idea. But then my dad sold the Indian restaurant, and the whole idea went down the drain.
You were just 2 decades too early.
That's correct.
That's what I say when people ask me, because I used to play video games professionally. I played it when it wasn't cool, and I was like, "Yeah, I literally was born 2 decades too early, or I would have done it professionally." And
that's so cool about you, Brian. Right? I didn't know that.
But again, it's like 2 decades too early. It's timing also plays a factor in everything too, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
You had the beginnings to a Grubhub or to an Instacart, to like that idea, but the world technology-wise wasn't there yet.
Wasn't there. And I think a lot of us have great ideas, but then implementation is key.
Yeah.
I had another interesting idea when I was in college. I used to, I had a car, and because when you go on co-op, I needed a car to drive, so I bought one.
Yep.
And then when you go back to school, since you have a car, you're going to use it.
Yep.
So when you're parking on the streets on Market Street in Drexel University, you're bound to get a ticket.
Yeah, or towed, or car stolen, whatever. Any and all above.
Not just me, others around me are having the same issue.
Yep.
So between classes, I started telling my friends that if you wanted to put money in your meter and you were running late, you text me, because we had those Nokia phones. Yeah. And I knew them, so I trusted them. So I was like, you text me, and if I put $1 in your car, I'll charge you $2. So I would go and put the quarters in my backpack and put in the corner, and I make double the money within like the day.
Yeah.
Because I'll meet them in the evening and saying, just give me the money.
Entrepreneurship at your core. You were like the original meter up, or the meter fairy is whatever. You were being the meter fairy to everybody. Like
my friend started a smart card that PPA started using after he graduated.
Oh my God.
So he was the one who started smart card.
So that card, the yellow card that you swipe at the meter. Yeah, that was him.
My friend started it.
Oh, that's really cool.
And she used to tease me and that, how we had that concept at that time. and then the reason I stopped that business was awesome. But PPA stopped me one day, watching that I was putting money into multiple meters.
What are you doing?
And then the guy said, you cannot put money in other people's cars. That's illegal. And I was 21 or 19 or 20 years old with an immigrant. I literally shit in my pants. I was like, really? Is that allowed? Is it illegal? I can go to jail? I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I stopped that business. Would have been perfect to go through college.
You would have developed Meter Up.
maybe, or made some good money throughout my college time to pay for pizza and stuff. But interestingly, so then I had to make some career changes. I started some website business.
Yep.
I even started a teddy bear business called Create a Bear. I'm
living in a simulation. People listening right now, they're like, this guy's full of shit.
Oh my God.
I know you're not. I know you're being
in the gallery on 10th and Market. Yeah. I saw Build a Bear. It's too expensive. Yeah. So I thought, how you can not reinvent the wheel, but create something cool. So I got a company in China to send me a machine that had the fluff in it, and so I imported the stuff. And I said, how can you be different, right? So my mind always worked. Why reinvent the wheel? If I see something working well, can I make it better? So it's very easy to become number one in my mind. You do what the number one does, and add something on top of it.
Correct.
That allows you
slight little alter.
That allows you to be number one, because you know the pattern, you know what works. You have to do that no matter what, because it works, or it can be completely different. Right. So my path was, hey, I'll see Build-A-Bear works. Sounds like a cool concept. I can do something better. So what I did that made me successful was, in Build-A-Bear on the back, they tie with a thread.
Yeah, you put the little heart in.
You put a heart in, and it's done, right? So I had the guy put a zipper.
Okay.
And then I had a small recorder that if you keep it pressed, you can record your own voice. So now you can unzip it, put the heart in there for sure, put this recorded voice. When the grandmom comes and says, hey, Jimmy, grandma loves you. And then you can change that over a period of time. Hey, happy birthday. I wish you all the best for school. So it became such more customized that people started loving it.
That's cool.
And then I also said, well, because I have a computer science degree, I wrote this Visual Basic script, had a computer, a digital camera, where the certificate, I could take a photograph of there with the teddy bear and the child, and then print it out in a small VB script that I wrote, and drag and drop the photograph. So the certificate had the person's personal photograph, which was more customized as well. Super hit.
Then you go to your mailbox and Build-A-Bear's got a cease and desist in there.
That's exactly what happened.
I'm writing the story in my head.
That's exactly what happened. I got a legal letter saying I'm infringing on the
That's how
trademark.
you know you're doing it right.
and then, because if I was not an immigrant, I would have fought a little bit more. But I was a young kid.
Like, this kid's got a great idea. We're going to steal it. And that's what they did too, because I know they do that.
I guess I was trying to push the envelope too much, too many times that, and that's the interesting part. What can you do that can help you push the envelope? So 2 times that happened, but it's been fun. And then after that, I started a website design business and a software business, going back to computer science field. And I made my first software for an appraiser.
Okay, appraising buildings.
Appraising buildings. Okay. So we were managing their back end process, which was very heavy. Paper and fax oriented.
Photos, right? It's a lot of stuff.
Everything was being faxed and FedEx and bundled. So we digitalized his business.
Wow.
And he was able to send PDFs and security, and because there was iPhone wasn't there, apps weren't there. So we designed this online system for him, which he still uses, even did. A good friend of mine now. And that allowed me to get exposure in real estate. And then I decided that I could not pay my bills being married and doing these different ventures that were not really progressing somewhere. I was paying my bills, but it wasn't helping me. So
got another cease and desist today. I guess I'm done.
that would have been bad. But then what really happened is that I had to take care of my immigration status. My time was running out. You have to get sponsorship. You have to go through the whole cycle of immigration. So I needed some company that will sponsor me. So I had to go get a job. And I did. That company happened to be in real estate.
Gotcha.
And then gave me the exposure of learning real estate at that position.
And what did that company do?
They were industrial and warehouse owners.
Okay. So
they're Northeast, one of the largest industrial warehouse owners. They have over 4 million square feet of real estate. At that point, had about 50 properties, probably double at this point. I'm going to my boss's daughter's wedding, who was just born about a month from now. So I'm really good friends with them as well. Stayed in touch. And I started learning on the job as real estate. And then I changed my career path into real estate.
And what did you bring to that venture or that experience with like your coding background? Like, did you help them build systems in-house? Like,
funny you asked, Brian. And it's so interesting that you and I have not talked about all these things. This is all coming out randomly. That the way that I think there's 2 pivot points that happened, very subtle. What happened? They had a secretary who was there for almost 15 years. And her job was faxing tons and tons of things.
That's what you did back then.
That's correct. And she was always on the fax machine.
What's a fax machine? Now they exist.
Because of my programming background, I wrote a Visual Basic. Visual Basic was pretty big at that time. So I wrote in Visual Basic, you had something you could connect to the fax machine. So I wrote a code that if she typed something and attached it to on her computer, it'll send the PDF attachment and a cover letter via fax. So she didn't have to print and then fax and throw it in the trash. She just had to do the attachment. And then it kept a log of every activity. And then if she wanted to send to somebody, it basically made a contact list. So she could pick the contact list, the fax number, because half the time she was looking on paper where it is. everybody was so impressed with a small Visual Basic script program. And then and then at that point, my boss used to analyze properties. And going back in time, he did not use Excel or any apps. So it was constantly on paper.
Did it on pen and paper.
Exactly. And after meeting, I used to look at the paper. I was like, what are you doing the same thing again and again? So then I wrote an Excel sheet model for analyzing the properties. And it got pretty impressive. And he said, that's, I think, what started. And he asked me, he said, this is pretty cool. I see you can write programs. I see you're good in technology. I see that you wrote me something in Excel that makes a lot of sense, saves me a lot of time. Can you add rent roll to it? Can you add a cap table to it? Can you add, what the ROI, NOI is? And I didn't understand all those things.
You're like, what?
So I started asking questions. And then I asked him one time, I said, I don't understand these things, but I'm a person of learning. Can I go to school and get a real estate license so I can understand and help and get better at my job? And he decided to pay for my real estate class, and I learned a lot, and that started creating an interest for me. And that was, I think, 2004, and then I stayed there till 2008, and then in 2008 I decided I'm going to take a leap of faith and do something for myself.
Do something crazy.
So interestingly, I did something crazy. I went and started a company with no experience, and I started a brokerage company.
A lot of fun, isn't it?
It was like I had like 3 or 4 rentals under my belt, 1 sale, and I went and opened a brokerage company. And we did good. We hired about 75 people or 78 people in about 18 months, and I was able to gather a lot of respect and experience from just working. And I think that also helped me I think why it helped me was while I was working full time, I went and took all my broker's classes.
Gotcha.
Because I took my first class and I said, this is pretty interesting. I can learn more and more and more. So I kept taking classes on the weekends and the nights. And then once I had a broker's license, that's when I said, you know what? I think I can take a leap of faith. I didn't have too many commitments. I didn't have my daughter at that time.
Your status all worked out. You were ready to go.
My status was worked out. My wife had a corporate job. I had health insurance from her. And I said, I'm in a position of taking some risks. But
and you're how old at this time?
2008, I'm 28, 29.
Late
I'm
20s.
getting up there.
Yeah, late 20s.
Yeah, I'm getting up there. People, losing my twos in front of my age group was getting scary, but that was the time to do something.
No, and that's where you have to take risks. I feel like, I feel like in today's world, like a lot of people are so early. Like, I was talking to some like 18, 19-year-old who's like trying to have it all figured out. I'm like, when I was 18 and 19, like I was like trying to get, beer, right? Like, and then it's like you get in your 20s, you think you have to have it all figured out. Like, no, like in your 20s, you should be going nuts. You should be going crazy. And even into your 30s, like that's the time to do it.
But today with the technology, the exposure, the podcasts, the books, like the resources that we have available, I can see why an 18-year-old can compete with a 28-year-old very easily.
But also, like, you still got time.
You still got time.
Enjoy it, right? Get it out of your system. Enjoy. Trust the process, right? It doesn't. I still feel like in your 20s or 30s is early. The founder of McDonald's started when he was 55, 58.
That's correct, yeah.
Like, what are we all doing?
There's like so many stories like that. Morgan Freeman. Like a lot of people got really successful in their careers later on. Thank God I started a little bit earlier.
So 75 people, agents around you, and this business is the same one you have today from 08?
So what I did in that business was, because of the lack of value, I had to compete with price. So I became a discounted brokerage as a flat fee structure, which is pretty prominent at this point.
And there's some brokers that do that.
That's correct. That's correct. And there was another competing brokerage at that time that was doing it. Once again, I saw what they were doing. They were really successful. I can do better. I'll do something different, add 1 or 2 different components to attract talent. And that's what we did. And we were making some decent money. But I think as you get, the growing pains are different. When you are from 1 to 50 people, the way you run your business is different. And you feel like, I'm just going to keep adding people. The whole business changes when you have, after a certain number. And I think I was having a little challenge growing at the pace. So the only way to do that was to then duplicate what you were doing, and then 1 to 50 again. Right. So then we were in Northeast Philadelphia, in Huntington Valley. We decided to come and open an office in the city, which we did. We were trying to grow here as well. And then I happened to meet through a friend Ben Aller, who's my current business partner through common friends.
Met Ben a couple times.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. And he was in the real estate business. He had the condo shop company with a couple of agents, and we decided to partner up for me to take over the operations. I thought the brand was pretty cool. The condo shop trademark in the country. I was a resident of Philadelphia and still am. And I thought being in the city would be easier to take care of business. And I decided to sell my previous business to my other business partner, and then become partners with Ben and start running that company in 2010.
Great. And haven't looked back since.
No, it's been a great journey. With looking back at all the businesses that we started, and I learned a lot. And we had to shut down, and quite a few different things. We're going fast in your life. You learn a lot.
Yep.
And then you meet a lot of new people, and you build a good rapport. If you do things right with integrity, and I wanted to maintain good relationships, and people have helped me a lot.
Yep.
I've gone back 10, 15 years, and they have showered with love and support to me, and I really appreciate that. I'm trying to do the same thing to people that I can as well.
Absolutely.
Because I think I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, and I'm trying to do the same thing to give back.
One of the things I want to touch on, you mentioned the American dream.
Yes.
In the bio here, the American dream. I want to talk about the American dream today. Do you feel, because you hear on the news of like the American dream's dead. Do you believe that at all?
I personally don't. I think it's all relative on how you feel about things. You ask a person who doesn't have food to eat, and they give them a loaf of bread. Is the most tastiest thing they have ever eaten in their lives. Right? It's all relative. Where I come from some humble beginnings, I've been fortunate to be here. I'm fortunate to be in a position that I have. I feel that this country has given me more than I ever thought I would ever achieve in my life. Yep. How can that not be a grateful statement for me? And I'm grateful for this country. My family is here. My child is born here. I'm super, super grateful.
Because I just go back to what you said, where you're like, I got laid off. I'm unemployed. You couldn't afford a house, right? Like same things that you hear people saying today, and they feel like it's the end of the American dream. But like the opportunity here is so prevalent.
So much.
It's all around. You just have to look.
Sure.
You like look up and be like, wow, you can go start a business. Wow, you can go learn. You can go be on the internet and look at anything on the internet, not restricted, right? Like it's all relative. But I feel like people are underestimating what they have around them just being in this country.
One thing, and I don't like politics or religion in any way. I'm just going to say a statement about the country is that this is one of the only, and I come from India, so I go back quite frequently, and I travel the world a lot. I love traveling. One thing that I have seen about this country, which I think is amazing, people should recognize, is this is one of the only countries that values hard work.
Yeah.
So your time is valued. We can be in other countries, and in India, I can relate to it. You could work for hours and years, hours in a week and years in your life, and you may not get anywhere.
Yep.
What I have seen in this country is that anybody who puts in true hard work always will get someplace, and that is very, very fortunate to be in this place.
Now let's rip that statement apart.
Okay.
I want to hear from you what hard work is, right? Because you hear this, the work-life balance. I want to be remote. I want to be hybrid. I want, the office culture, right? Like I want people to hear how many hours a week you were working when you were taking classes and building. Like, just be real with like, how many hours a week do you think it took you in the early days before you even got to Ben, before you and Ben partnered up?
I guess I have to be real. And,
like how many hours a week you think you were?
My first job in this country was working in the newsstand on 9th and Market.
Okay.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. That is 72 hours plus Sundays, 5 hours, which was 77 hours. So I worked 77 hours for 9 months straight without taking a day off.
I just repeat that one more time. 7 days a week.
7 days a week, 9 months straight without taking a day off. Even when I was sick, I went to work.
77 hours.
77 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then I had enough money to pay for one term for college.
Yeah, you hear that, like what the, like people need to like
$4.75 an hour is what I made. And I went to college, and then I took 6 courses, 20 credits, and I worked 27 hours or 28 hours a week after that.
While you were in college?
Because I didn't have money. I had to pay for it.
You had a need, and you had like an angst to like go to that next level. Like you had that fire in you.
If I want to study more, I had to make money.
Correct.
My parents didn't have enough money. We were all immigrants. We didn't make enough money. So we were all working. I had to do it. So when people say about work-life balance, remote work from home, it's if I think from their perspective and they haven't seen anything different, I get it.
Yep.
That's what everybody wants to take a path of least resistance.
Correct.
But you have to look around and saying, who are you competing with? And my dad said a statement very profound that my dad unfortunately passed away last year, but I always remember his teachings. He said, thank God there are a lot of people in the world who are not as hardworking as you, because if they were, it'll make your life more difficult. You may have to work 90 hours if everybody else works 77 hours, right? So it's a grateful statement in there as well that, there are people of different kinds and hopes and what they want to do in their careers. Not necessarily that everybody has to work 77 hours to achieve it.
Yep.
However, there are people who are going to be giving you a tough time.
Yep.
Can Michael Phelps win the Olympics without working out every day?
No, absolutely. So, not even a day, multiple times.
Multiple times. And I think there was a statement that he made and said, the reason why he won from 1/100th of a second is because he never missed a day in 4 years thinking that somebody else will miss one day.
Yep.
And then he's going to be 1/100th of a second stronger and faster. And I think he did. So I always take those kind of coachings in my life and say, who am I competing with?
Yep.
I'm competing with myself, first of all. But who's my competition? If I don't work hard, if I don't go to places, if I don't learn more, if I don't meet people, if I don't come and get to know you here, how am I going to meet people? What am I trying to get out of my life? And not everything is about money. There's a lot of different whys in your life, what you want to achieve. I have defined mine. I'm still on my journey to defining more, but I have identified what drives me.
Yep.
And it's important for us to understand the deep down inside that you may not be able to achieve everything.
Yep.
To achieve extraordinary things, you need to do extraordinary events. And if you don't do that, and you're going to be one of many, you're going to get the results of one of many. But then if you're okay with it, then it's all fine. But if you're trying to be different, you got to act different.
Yep.
So, and you're not going to be able to get that with the path, of I wouldn't say laziness, path of just comfort.
Yep. No, I mean, you're nailing the head. I mean, it's impossible to do anything of substance between 9 to 5. It is. It's, and I hate saying it, but like, if you truly want to build something, be so impactful, it's triple that. It's how many hours can you not sleep till you get to a certain point? Like I don't work as, the hours I used to when I started my business, right? But like, I'll still work 12-hour days, 13-hour days, like very frequently, like multiple times a week. It's not because like I'm doing it because I need to. I'm doing it because I got done what I had to for the day. And then it's like, I'm doing for what's next.
Sure.
Right. And I think that's a piece of it. Like even just that being that simple, but like, here's what I did today to maintain. It's like, but then what did I do today for the future?
But that's your drive, Brian. If you didn't have the drive or the desire to get to the next level, then you're fine doing what you're doing.
Correct.
Right? There are people who go work, make great money in a corporate world or in a great job. They come back home and they disconnect. They're doctors and medical professionals who make a lot of money. They come back home, they're disconnected. And it's okay. It works in their profession, but they work so hard. But you ask any doctor, how many hours do you work in residency?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what happens is you work hard today, you enjoy the benefits later.
Correct.
Or you enjoy benefits of life today, you may end up working hard all your life, or harder all your life. So you have to pay your dues at some point.
Exactly.
Right. So in real estate, it's interesting that when I was a full-time employee, to make money and learn the business, I was doing about 50 open houses a year while I had a full-time job. I don't know if anybody in my 1,100 team members or agents in the company, maybe there's a couple that I don't know and I don't discount them, but majority of the people are not doing 50 open houses.
It's one a weekend.
One a weekend, every weekend.
Even during holidays or everything.
Every weekend, I was doing an open. If I know
4th of July weekend, you're doing
if it's
an
not
open
4th of
house.
July, even if that's not weekend, the next week I'm doing 2.
Yeah.
Right. If I did 50, I must have done 48. Like, but I'm giving you the estimate. Like, all I knew was I was doing open house. My wife knew I was doing open houses.
Yep.
There have been times we had to go to a friend's house.
Bringing so many trays of cookies. You're like,
my wife has left me at open houses because I wouldn't leave because there were clients outside.
Yeah.
And she said, we got to go. I said, I can't. I said, I'm leaving you. I said, I think you may have to. And I stayed.
Yep.
So there are sacrifices that nobody talks about from family and friends and birthday parties and going out and being on the beach. You got to pay your dues at some point.
No, that's I love it. Paying your dues at some point.
Yeah,
and it's when that works for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can pay it in installments all your life. I decided to give it all in initially to see what entails for me in the future.
Yep.
And I'm very glad that I'm in a position where I'm not as stressed anymore. I have much more businesses, many more businesses than I had before, but I'm in a much relaxed place in my life because I think a lot of my hard work is paying off now.
Absolutely.
And I think never compare yourself with somebody else's journey. Like while I'm saying this, somebody who's 18 or 19 or mid 20s or 30s, you can't compare with me, or I cannot compare with somebody else.
Yep. Because
I am on the 13th chapter or 14th chapter of my career.
Yep.
You might be on the 52nd chapter of your career, or you might be in the second chapter of your career. Age doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's which journey are you in? And because what you have learned and what you have given in the past is going to define how fast you're going to climb the chapters or ladders. So don't compare, look up, learn, don't be complacent, keep pushing, and hard work always pays off. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Exactly. That's great. I want to slide back over to what you're doing today and talk a little bit about some of the tactical stuff as a leader, leading over 1,100 agents on your team.
So I own a company called KW Empower.
Yep.
I have a partner. We were two companies that merged together. We brought in 550 plus people. He had 550 plus people. I decided I'm not going to take a role of the day-to-day person anymore. He did. And there's a team of about 24 full-time employees. So I don't have a job in the company.
Yep.
So I'm not managing them on a day-to-day anymore. My goal is how do I strategize with the company and my partners?
Yep.
How are the team working? Who do we bring on as a leader?
So you're more in the visionary role right now, or what would you say you're?
So I run about 10 companies today. And I'm in different roles in different companies.
Yep.
So from 2018 to 2023, I was in a very hands-on role as the owner broker of a company.
Yep.
And I paid my dues in those 5 years, working ridiculous amount of hours in that company. But now I'm more of a strategic visionary role of the company and for growth. But there are other companies, my condo shop team, which is now called TCS Group. We have a Rent Philly, which is a rental division. We are now in expanding in about 6 states. We have Black Label Luxury, which is trademark in the country. We are growing that. I own a property management company called TCS Management in Madison Park. We are about in 9 states right now, and we're growing in different states. So my time is being spent a lot into some of the other businesses that, TCS Management was doing great. We had 4,000 plus units. And when I got some more time away from the KW Empower world, and I decided to focus a lot on the property management world. And my goal is to take that company nationwide. So in the last 6 months, we've been in about 6 new states. So we've been growing a lot in those states.
And so talk about it, because that's something too that that even in my business I'm struggling with, right? Finding good people, right? You're expanding and growing. What do you have a strategy that you could share with, like, how you're growing to these states? Are you acquiring other management companies? Are you strategically finding property owners with buildings in multi-states and establishing it here and saying, hey, like, what are some tactical things that you could share, like just how you start thinking nationally as your business, right? If you're Sally's Bake Shop, right? Like Sally wants to have a national baking bread. Like, how does she become Annie Ann's? Like, talk about that a little bit.
I think people always say finding talent is very tough, right?
Yeah.
And it is true. I think finding talent is tough, but I think keeping talent is tougher.
Absolutely.
So I think we focus a lot in recruitment, and we forget sometimes that the culture of the company, the team is happy or not, their goals, what keeps them, what drives them, what is their journey, what is their history, where do they want to be? I think there's a lot to be talked about that, and we don't focus on that as much. So I'm trying my best. I don't think I always succeed in that. I think as the organization is getting bigger, I'm not able to touch as many people, in their personal lives and helping them. But the top tier, I'm trying my best. And I think that's and then if I teach them and I can teach them and guide them, then they can do the same thing. It's a trickle down.
They can touch 10 people below them.
It's a trickle down effect, right? So they can do that as well. So the way to expand in different locations in the country or different locations in the state also is, first, you have to make sure that your hub is capable of doing things that is better than the local person wherever you want to go.
Yep.
Otherwise, why go and expand if there's, unless you can do the +1, right? Mm-hmm. Find somebody who's doing whatever there and then find something better. So I think in the last 10 years of doing property management, we saw that we were doing some things very, very good here locally. Mm-hmm. We were growing fast. People are coming from other companies from our competition, yep. And it was working well. Then I'm fortunate to be part of a company called Keller Williams, and there's a national conventions. So people always say, I don't like going to those national conventions. Waste of time. People are drinking. People are just partying. I don't learn much. It
sounds like fun.
And I think that's a byproduct of meeting with people, that you get to have fun as well. Yep. But I've been to almost every one of them since I joined KW since 2018. So I met people again and again. And I had strategic discussions. I met with them. I had appointments to meet with people for dinner and lunch and breakfast and learning about the business, sharing my businesses. And I started learning and getting to know a lot of people. And after 5 years of being there, one day in the room, somebody asked, property management is a good business. Yeah. And how many people in this room are doing property management? So I would say about, let's say 40 of us out of 200 put their hands up. Yeah. Okay. And then they started asking me, now how many units do you manage? The average person was managing between 100 to 200 units. The average person. Yep. The biggest came about was 500. Then one person had about 800. Yep. And they asked me, and I said 3,200.
Everyone turns
to me and saying, like, what? We did not know. We've known you for 6 years. We did not know you had a company that manages 3,200 units. Yep. And so the direction just changed in a different conversation in the last 24 months. And I didn't realize that. When that conversation started coming in, I started discussing of why they have not grown. Mm-hmm. And what about the other 160 people who don't have a property management company? Yep. Why are they not in this business? It came down to they all wanted to do it, mm-hmm. but nobody had the who, and nobody knew the how. So another question became of what's more important, the who or the how? Yeah. So we started exploring that business and said, well, let's start teaching everybody how to build a business, because as entrepreneurs, we want to have 18 companies, right? So we started teaching everybody, saying, we'll teach you how to do the how. And soon realized people don't want to learn the how. Then they started asking the question, like, but I don't want to do this. Yep. Who is the person who can help us do that? So we said, okay, so now if we can maintain everything at the hub level, we can duplicate ourselves at the different state or cities level, and then we become the who on top of that. So now what do we need? I need another Gaurav or another partner like myself who has influence and lead generation locally at the local level. Yep. And all these people who are in the room are those people. Correct. They already have big businesses in real estate.
100 units, 200 units. You're like,
they're doing $100 million plus every year. Everybody in the room had to be over $100 million worth of volume to be in the room. That means they're doing at least 300 to 400 units a year. So I said, if I start teaming up with them, so first I found this problem that they all wanted to be in business. Then I found a solution that it could be us. Then we found that it doesn't have to be the how, it has to be the who. So we keep the how to ourselves. We become the who, we team up with them, and then became about a year of challenge of creating a financial structure that made sense to both sides. That was the biggest challenge. So I think we have created a unique financial structure, which allows our partners to own a company, allow to make money, keep the core business of their sales and leasing to themselves, allow them to grow in property management and become a one-stop solution for themselves and the clients. And we're able to do 90% of that work from the hub level. And we have designed what do we need at a local level, very clearly defined roles. So finding those people who are similarly of a similar mindset and still doesn't want to do the work that we were doing. I think it's always about the people, right? People and processes, as they say. So we were able to find those people keeping the processes on our side, and we're trying to grow. Obviously, I'm sure we're going to learn. We're going to fail forward. We just merged/acquired a 170 unit existing property management company in North Carolina.
That's great.
And we had never done that before. So we are going through its own challenges of learning,
Emerging
different
cultures, everything.
correct. So,
right?
yeah, so we are partners in that company under our brand.
Yep.
So we bought into that company without giving TCS manager away. So now we're learning how to build the TCS way while they're local, and because we have 3 employees as well, so they're used to some their own ways. So new things. It's not like it hasn't been done. Banks buy each other across the world, so they have figured it out. Now the question is, I always think when there's a problem, instead of saying I don't know, and I don't know is a good, I don't know in my dictionary doesn't exist.
Yep.
So my whole team knows. Don't answer me. I don't know.
Yep.
Basically, take some time, come back with a solution. We all know. We haven't given it enough time to think about it, or haven't found a solution yet, and that's okay. But we will figure it out. If people have figured out how to go to the moon, I can't figure out how to merge 2 small companies or find a solution. If I can, a person who thinks in Hindi and speaks in English, I think anybody can. It just, you have to have your fundamentals and your driving force to say, we'll figure it out.
I love it. So if I ask you the question, what's next for TCS and all your national
TCS
expansion?
management, I would love to take it national.
Yeah.
I'm talking to some key people across the country. They have some big businesses, and they don't have a property management arm. We can be the back end arm for them.
That's back end solution hub.
That's correct. So that is one possibility. We could just continue growing ourselves. If I think we are in 20 states, we're already in 7. If we're in 20, 25 states, I think in my mind that's national. You don't have to be in in Arkansas with 4,000 people in a small town. In some places, it doesn't have to be.
Yep.
If you can expand the most East Coast and West Coast and some states in between, I think that's enough to start as a goal. And then I'm not shy in saying, why not the world?
Yeah.
Why not go to Europe?
Yeah.
Why not go to other South Asian countries?
Yep.
Every company started someplace. May not be in my generation. Hopefully we build a legacy strong enough where the company grows and continues.
Yep.
There are companies that exist from 1800 centuries, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Started someplace. Walmart started in one place, legacy continues. So I don't know. We'll see. But vision is big. I'm growing it bigger.
Yep.
My business partner, Ben, always had a bigger vision than me, which allowed me to surround myself with people like him who push the limit. Yep. And I respect that a lot about him.
That's great. So let's go back. What would you tell yourself in 1997 if you could go back and say 1 or 2 things to yourself when you got here, when you came here, right? 1997.
I came in 1997.
Yeah.
We should give me these questions before, Brian.
It's fun. It's funny you don't know what I'm going to ask.
I have no idea. It's all. But this is a loaded question. What would I tell myself? I should have taken more risks early on. I think I was too scared to take chances on myself. I didn't think I could get enough out of myself in things that I saw the people doing. I always held myself back. I can't do that.
You should have torn up that cease and desist and been selling teddy bears today.
I didn't go to an attorney to ask if this is real.
Yep.
I didn't know what my options were.
Well, it's definitely real. They're just trying to scare you.
Now I would push the limit further because Create a Bear could have been, because if there's intellectual property, now understanding it, if the intellectual property is being questioned, could I have said that this is a little different product because I've customized the teddy bear with my own voice,
or license it back to Build a Bear,
could be, So now actually, I don't know if you know, they have a voice recorder.
Yeah, and they print certificates out.
That's correct.
They've been doing it.
I don't know if actually I was the reason for that.
What's the statute of limitations? I think we should revisit this up. That's good.
But it sounds funny for all those things. But I feel proud that we were being creative early on, and it was nice and cool. So I should have taken more chances. I should have believed in myself. Yep. My friends did some great businesses. I think I was too scared with my immigration status, which was perfectly fine. I never broke the law. I never stayed illegal for one day.
More than you had no reason not to be scared, right? Like it was crazy to think about it. You're like, oh my God, if I do the wrong thing, it could jeopardize my status.
That's correct.
Like
so that fear was until 2008. So 11 years of my life, I feared literally every time the car drove by to see, did I do something wrong that can hurt my status? So I was living in fear in many ways. And I think a lot of immigrants do that. I don't think they're scared of the police car, but in some ways, you try to be so straight line not sure, if I file my wrong taxes by mistake, is that going to hurt my status? Like I was so scared for everything. So my entrepreneurial journey didn't start at a flourished level that I pushed the limits around 28, 29.
Yeah.
And within 15, 16 years of great journey.
That's amazing. Well, Gaurav, I just want to say thank you for coming on today. Your story is amazing. You need to write a book. Have you written a book yet?
No,
you should.
I don't think
I want you back
book.
on here when the book's about to go out for sale. You're coming back on here to talk about it.
Never say never. I don't have any plans. I don't think anybody wants to read my book, but who knows? If there's something that I can teach and give back, and there's something to be shared with people, I think why not?
And just want to make sure, how can people find you or find your companies? I have Instagram.com/KWEmpowers1.
That's a company one.
Yeah.
For me personally, is G Gambhir1.
Okay.
GGAMBHIR1. It's so funny you said Instagram. Yeah. I hardly use Instagram. I'm like so old that the world is using Instagram. I'm still stuck in the Facebook phase. Yep. I'm trying to not get into too much, but there are things, let's talk about leverage. Things are being posted on it every day. Mm-hmm. It's just not necessarily me posting the stuff about work, but personal stuff I posted myself.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, thanks again.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to watching your journey continue. It's impressive so far.
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah.
Thanks.